Welcome to the Wedding Songs Podcast, featuring newly released songs you need to know and the tried and true classics. Get song ideas from the time guests arrive until the last dance of the reception. And now your host, Matt Campbell, founder of MyWeddingSongs.com.
Welcome, everybody, to the Wedding Songs Podcast. I am Matt Campbell. Today, we're going to be talking about how a great DJ can transform a wedding. And to help me with this topic, I have Jodi Harris from Sight and Sound Events, based in Las Vegas, and she is the CEO of Fun. Welcome to the show, Jodi.
Thank you, Matt. Hi, everybody. Thank you guys for having me. Matt, thank you. I'm so excited to be part of your podcast. I listened to it and I'm truly honored that you would ask me to be on. So let's do this. Let's create some fun.
Awesome. I'm excited too. And I have to ask you, like I ask everybody, can you just share a unique wedding moment that you had as a DJ?
Well, they're all unique, right? Every single wedding we do is unique. No two weddings are exactly the same, but I can tell you that with me being a huge member of the WWE universe and a big fan, it's always nice when I get a couple who appreciate my love for the WWE and they're fans too, or they're members of the WWE universe. And we had an opportunity to do a grand entrance complete with the belt and everything. And it was super fun because I have some belts. I mean, I have a belt behind me right now that I won in an auction, believe it or not. And it's autographed by one of the wrestlers who was the champ at the time. So I have this WWE belt. He knew I was a fan, or the couple knew I was a fan, and we brought them in to the Stone Cold Steve Austin glass shattering and did a whole entrance like I was the ring announcer. So the champions of love. So it was definitely really cool. And people were so surprised that I was able to pull it off. I'm like, dude, do you know who you're talking to? Like, I live and eat and breathe this stuff. And it was great. We got some great photos. They were happy. It was just a unique, fun moment. So when we can incorporate things like that, and especially with me loving the product like I do, it makes it even more special because I know how to do it. So yeah, that was definitely fun and unique.
That's awesome. Just as a side question to that, because I know sparklers are a little bit tricky because I can see the lights and all this as their entrance. Is that something that was added, or is that still, do I want to say it's not accepted at a lot of venues in Vegas?
It's not recommended, or it's not allowed in certain venues. That we're in Las Vegas, I can tell you that the hotel partners that I work with do not allow it. I've seen this, they call them cold sparks. I've seen them done, and generally they're usually done at like banquet halls. So smaller banquet halls will do it. But, when it comes to weddings, specifically weddings, they're not too crazy about us, doing it, like I said. But if you have a big budget and you're a corporate, and you want to do something at like a big major hotel, they'll make exceptions for that because they have the budget for it. But cold sparks, no, because it does still involve a fire marshal, and that costs money, getting the fire marshal to approve it. And yeah, so it seems to be a question that we seem to be getting a lot lately too about the cold sparks. But you always have to ask your venue. Even if you are having your wedding reception at a venue that's not a hotel, you still need to ask. Just don't assume, because it's a pretty large expense to get them in, and you got to do it correctly, right? We all remember, well, maybe, the White Snake concert from years ago where something as innocent as a cold spark caught on fire and it was a disaster. So that's why the hotels just don't want the liability of doing it. But again, corporate, they'll figure out a way because they charge through the Yahoo about it.
Yeah, I tried to do it. This was years ago. It had a puff of fire come up, and I'm like, this is a kid's dance. I'm not burning the place down with everybody in it. Sorry, too scary.
And even when you see sparkler exits, a lot of times people will do sparkler exits with the big long sparklers. They're always done outside. And they're always done with a water bucket by the side. Literally, somebody has to get that bucket, put it with water, or else it's not going to happen. Because we've seen incidents with that as well.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, before we go any further, why don't you introduce yourself to our listeners?
Jodi Harris, CEO of Fun, self-proclaimed, I guess, right? Nobody's ever officially, although people tell me, but self-proclaimed CEO of Fun. I've been in the wedding entertainment world for a very long time, a really long time. I have many years of experience and own and operate sight and sound events with my husband, whose name is Patrick Harris. His role in the company is just making it all happen. A lot of times you'll see Pat behind the scenes. He's the one that, is up to date on the latest gear, making investments, researching it, doing all the behind the scenes stuff. Me, I'm more on the front line along with my team. I have a team of 6 DJs that work for Sight and Sound events. We have a wedding planner also that's on staff, Heather, who takes care of stuff. So, and I still perform regularly, over 100 events in a year, still in very high demand. People want to have that fun. So, yeah. And like I said, we've been around in Las Vegas since 1994 when we moved here from Los Angeles. And we did some of this in LA as well. That's our background, and big component of networking and just knowing who's out there and going to conferences and seeing the latest trends and just keeping up to date, because just because you've been around for a long time, you constantly have to change, you constantly have to evolve.
Totally agree. Well,
Mhm.
we are the wedding capital of the world. So let's talk about transforming weddings because there are so many that happen here every single year. How would you describe a DJ entertainer?
So I would describe a DJ entertainer as the person that pulls all the strings, the person that just needs to know everything. It's not just coming in and playing music. A good DJ entertainer wears many hats. They're not only the DJ, they're the MC for the event. They're also the planner when it comes to creating the timeline. They're also the liaison between the venue staff, the banquet staff, and what's on your sheet. They're the director. I like to think of it as, back in the day, we had this title called Wedding Entertainment Director. And I think that's a really good, gives you a good idea of what we do. We're wedding entertainment, but we're the director, right? Every movie that you go to has a director. And that's where your DJ falls in. Your DJ is like the Steven Spielberg, right? And then you have the bride and groom as the stars, and then you have the supporting cast. That could be the caterer, the photographer, the videographer, the florist. It's just everything. You just got to know everything. And then the other thing that people laugh about, but we're also the psychologists, right? We're also the ones that, when we have our meetings, our final meetings, we call them design sessions with our clients. We're the ones that we create the timeline, but then we find a lot out about music, right? Music choices, or we talk a lot about the playlist, and we find out that there are songs that are on the do not playlist for a reason. And we always like to ask, well, especially if it's a common song, let's say it's Thinking Out Loud by Ed Sheeran and it's on the do not playlist. And you're like, oh, okay, as a DJ, I might slip that one in there. Can you ask me why it's not, oh, well, we were married before. So if I hear that song, this is my second time around, I'll freak out. So got it. So we play the role of psychiatrist, and then we're looking around, right? We're also a security guard. How many times have people crashed weddings that shouldn't be there, and you're looking at that person going, I don't remember them. And they're out there getting crazy with people. So we wear many hats. At least a good DJ wears many hats. Some of them, they just put their head down, wiki, slide in, slide out, fade in, fade out. They have no idea what's going on. They don't know when the toast is happening. They don't know that there's no champagne in the glass. I mean, it's just so a good DJ will be everything I just told you guys about.
Definitely end the experience that you're bringing for sure. That's a great transition into, okay, people are starting to arrive and you're trying to figure out what to play. How do you read the room to decide what music to play?
With us, and I hope with every DJ, you would ask that question in your design session just before the wedding. Usually it's about a month to 2 weeks. So 1 month to 2 weeks before the actual wedding date, you need to sit down with your client and you need to ask them those questions. Okay, 6 o'clock, doors open. What are you guys feeling? What are you guys feeling when it comes to background music? A lot of times, because we're in Vegas, we recommend that they go with like a vintage Vegas soundtrack. Do some Rat Pack, do like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, throw in some Frankie Valli, some Tom Jones. It's not unusual. Believe it or not, Wayne Newton doing Donkashay, Elvis, but not the high energy Elvis. Maybe it's now or never Elvis. Like just people are coming in our market, people are coming to Las Vegas. So you want to give them that for when they have the cocktail hour. And you also look at the age range of the guests, right? Maybe some of the guests are a little young and might not be too familiar with the Rat Pack, but believe it or not, they know. They know Vegas, they know Elvis, they know Frank Sinatra. Very rarely do we kind of shy away from that. But there are people, if you look at the dynamics or you talk to your client on the phone and you find out they're a little bit younger, you might point them in the Guardians of the Galaxy era, is what I call it. The Redbone, Come and Get Your Love, that kind of vibe, because they all grew up watching Guardians of the Galaxy. And that we all know, that soundtrack blew up. Right when the movie came out, like people were discovering Brandy and Come and Get Your Love and Jay and the Americans and Come a Little Bit Closer. So, you just gauge it on your audience, you gauge it on the couple, and even if they say just play Vintage Vegas and you get a little bit bored, just look at the age range of the people that are sitting around you. As we get later into like our cocktail hour or dinner, we might now go into a little bit of 80s, like Spandau Ballet, True. I played it last night at a wedding and it wasn't even on the list. And they all went, oh my God, I haven't heard this song in forever. Because of the wedding singer. A lot of our music is influenced by a lot of the soundtracks from movies that we watch. And The Wedding Singer was a big movie and it chronicalized the 80s. And so everything old is new again. So, yeah.
And TikTok bringing back a lot of those songs too. A lot of people bash TikTok because they're on it too much, but they've really helped bring a lot of older songs to the forefront as well. So,
Yeah.
how do you tailor the music to fit the couple's personalities and vision?
It's a question that we ask in the design session. So, like, I knew the couple was into wrestling and stuff. So, we asked them, what year did you graduate high school? I don't want to know how old they are. That's fine. But I'm specifically asking them what year they graduated high school. And the reason why I asked them that is because during your high school years, that's what forms your what you listen to, right? What you grew up with and what you like now. So that to me is a very, very important question. If I found out they graduated, let's say in 2015, right? I would know that they were influenced. For them, the oldies are probably like music from the 80s. They would think that would be old. And even, so they grew up, their parents probably grew up listening to a lot of 80s in the house, and they listen to 90s and they're into the early zeros. And so that's kind of how we know, how we kind of design and tailor that. We do give them an option too. I mean, a good DJ will also say, hey, listen, there's tools out there that we use as DJs, like a DJ event planner, right? And I always tell them, I said, our music database is kind of like Spotify and Apple Music got together and they had a kid. That's so if you want to, you can go in there and drop as many songs as you like to give us an idea of where you are, what you like. And a lot of them do it, but we're certainly not looking for you to program the whole 4-hour event. We kind of want to know what you like and what you don't like, but don't feel like that. A good DJ should be able to read the crowd. And again, getting back to your question, finding out when the couple graduated high school, that'll give you an idea. And just looking at the crowd. Like, how old are these people? If they look like they're in their 60s or 50s, then you knew that they grew up with 80s music and, 90s, but they still like Pat, my husband and I were talking about it not too long ago. We started DJing. 50s were huge, right? The Chubby Checkers and all the songs from the 50s, that old Jive Bunny mix. Da, 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 da. Not anymore. Not anymore. You hardly play that stuff. For us, going back to, like I said, the Redbone, Come and Get Your Love era, Guardians of the Galaxy and Vintage Vegas is like old.
Well, I think like you're saying, even if they say their old is the 80s, maybe that's the parents' era,
Mhm.
but the 80s could be new wave, it could be hair bands,
Oh,
it could
yeah.
be so many different styles of music from that. So to get those examples in there, then you know what direction, at least where to start.
And when they say they like rock, it's very generic. You just hit the nail on the head. Rock. We like rock. Okay, well, what kind of rock? I like classic rock. I like some Rolling Stones, but then also I grew up in the 80s era. So I might want to hear some Van Halen. So it's very generic. So yeah, and for the younger generation, rock could be Imagine Dragons, right? So, or Maroon 5. It's just,
Yeah.
which is so different. That's important too. Knowing when you just say, I like rock. Well, what kind of rock? What do you listen to on XM? What's your station?
Especially the local vibe. Being from Vegas, are you Imagine Dragons or the Killers? Because
Right.
that's two totally different styles of music.
Oh, absolutely. But they all love Mr. Brightside.
Right.
I don't
No
get
matter
it, but
what.
they all love singing it and jumping up and down. Come on, it started with a kiss. It was
Right.
only a kiss. Yeah, it's fun. That's a definitely a party song right there.
For
And you
sure.
let them go for it,
Yep.
like being fun, being the CEO of fun and being fun. If you get people singing along, they love that stuff. So you have a little fun with the volume, and people love it. You're creating that TikTok moment for them.
Wedding DJs and wedding pros, are you ready to elevate your expertise and keep the dance floor packed? Introducing the Wedding Music Letter, your weekly email written by me, Matthew Campbell, packed with exclusive insights and inspiration. Every Wednesday, I deliver curated playlists, deep dives into wedding and music industries, and practical tips on topics like science of creating a playlist, managing decibel levels, and crafting unforgettable parent dances. Stay informed, stay inspired. Subscribe to the Wedding Music Letter and bring the best music moments to life at every wedding. Sign up today at weddingmusicletter.com. The Wedding Music Letter, expert insights every Wednesday straight to your inbox at weddingmusicletter.com. Now back to the show. Can you share a time, just to get a little bit more difficult, when you had to switch up the playlist unexpectedly?
Oh, yeah. So, very early in our Vegas journey here in Las Vegas, we had a couple who had told us that, and at the time, my husband and I were DJing as a husband and wife duo when we first came to Vegas, building our company. And we had a couple very specifically that said, country music, that's it. Leave the other stuff at home. And at the time, the other stuff was CDs. Okay. So, we used to DJ with a CD case before digital. Leave it at home. We're not going to use it. We're not going to play it. No one's going to request it. It ain't going to happen. I'm like, okay. I said to my husband, just bring everything with us anyway, because we always do. Well, thank God that we did, because nobody was dancing to the country music. The only two people that loved it were them. People were actually coming up going, do you have anything else but country? And we're like, unfortunately, yeah, we do, but our couple specifically asked for this, and this is all we're allowed to play. But, if you talk to them and they say it's cool, have them come over to us and we'll see what we can do. And sure enough, the bride and groom came over and they said, listen, we were totally wrong on this. I know we told you country. Did you happen to bring some of your other stuff? I'm like, yeah, we did. So we just got out of that vibe. And everybody had a great time, and the wedding went an hour over time.
And as you know too, you're having those conversations beforehand to say, because you know it's
Yeah.
not the common music. Okay, what are we going to do if nobody's dancing? Are you guys flexible? No, we're
Yeah.
not flexible. Well, at least you're putting that seed in their head to say, this may not work.
Oh yeah, I had one time with the bride gave me a strict playlist of just, I don't remember the genre, but it was just not party music. And a guest came over to me and I said, listen, I'm playing off the bride's list. She's like, okay. And then she came back to me and she said later, she goes, I told my husband that you are a good DJ. He didn't think you were a good DJ because he didn't recognize any of those songs, but I told him you were a good DJ because you listened to what your client said and you played off that list. And then I said, well, here, show him the list. I gave him at the end of the wedding, I said, look, then I crossed everything out of what I played. And they agreed. You are a good DJ because you're doing what your client said they wanted.
And I think that's tough today because then guests can give reviews on Google just as much as the mother of the bride or whoever.
Sure.
Yeah, it gets tricky. Gets
I
tricky
know
these days.
DJs that have review cards actually at the event. So when people are leaving, if the DJ had some interaction, let's say with a guest, they would hand them the card and say, hey, when you get a chance, can you review me as a guest? I've seen it. It's a thing now. It's crazy.
Yeah. Actually, I was on another podcast and they were talking about how DJs today now are not only getting reviews from the couple, and you're saying the guests, but they're trying to get reviews from the photographer, from the
Yes.
venue.
Yeah.
So now instead of one review from the couple, I could potentially get 3 to 5 reviews. Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
It was something we learned at a wedding MBA too. I think Shannon Tarrant had talked about it, where, you could write a review for a venue. Let's say you do weddings at Caesar's Palace. You, as a vendor, could write a review on your experience working with Caesar's Palace and their team. And they like it because here's a vendor writing a review.
And then you email them, hey, I just so you know, I gave you this review.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Schmoozing a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
but it's a way to do it. Yeah.
absolutely. Great tip there. So, what's your strategy on keeping guests on the dance floor all night?
Well, you're never going to keep everybody on the floor all night. As much as they're having a great time, they're going to gas out, as we say. So they're going to get gassed out. But you just look at the vibe, you just look at the people, and you see, if you see it coming, then you fade into something slow. Go in a different direction. Never play the same genre of song all night long. Try to switch it up. If they like country, give them like 3 country bangers and then maybe go into an 80s set. Or if you're playing some hip hop, give them that and just look at the crowd. That's the best way to determine how to keep them on the dance floor all night long because they're burnt out, they're gassed out, and then all of a sudden that slow song comes in. Maybe it's an Elvis Can't Help Falling in Love because we are located in Las Vegas. And what's a wedding in Las Vegas without a song by this guy by Elvis, and everybody loves it. So that's just being able to look at the crowd and reading the crowd. And if you have a playlist that the bride and groom or the brides and the grooms created for you, just figure out a way to program that. Don't go down the list, this. Look at it, mold it, play with it, and tell your client that. You say that to the couple. And your DJ should be able to do that. Yeah, you gave them a list. They're not a jukebox. They're not going to play it all one boom, boom, boom. They're going to take that list. They're going to look at the crowd, see that they're starting to get a little tired. Let's throw in a slow one. Or there are
100%.
people of a certain age that are sitting down, like of a certain age. Let's get these people of a certain age or a certain look out to the dance floor because maybe by the way they're dressed, they are into like rock. They might be into the Killers and that kind of stuff. Just looking around. Again, one of the things you asked me about what a DJ's role is, you got to be looking. You always have to be looking around. You cannot never be looking down. You always got to look up and put the phone away. Put the phone away. Nobody's text message is that important in the middle of an event. You shouldn't be checking your emails or anything like that. You need eyes up front. You need to be looking around.
And that's exactly how you're transforming that wedding because you're paying attention to what they're doing. If they're dancing and they're all going to the bar because they're exhausted, then you know, okay, that's about how many songs I can play. Now
Right.
let's slow it down and then gradually build that back up to get them back on the dance floor.
And people want to dance slow too. They do. I mean, think about it. They get all dressed up, they buy a nice outfit, and they just want that. It's not just the bride and groom that want the first dance, the slow song, but it's the guests too. How
Yeah.
often do you get to go out where you get to get dressed up and dance with your partner to something nice? So yeah, they look forward to that as well.
Great stuff. So have you noticed any trends in wedding entertainment?
As far as the entertainment goes, I see a lot of accompaniment, like there'll be a live musician there, a sax, a bongo player. I've seen that. I personally haven't done it, although I should take that back because this Saturday we are working with a saxophone player. But I think it's cool when you have that accompaniment, with the DJ. You're always going to, when it comes to entertainment, you're always going to, especially us with being in Vegas, the blingy stuff. People love the light up the rings and the foam wands like they're at EDC. That's always going to be a great add on to any event. And somebody listening might go, oh, that's so cheesy. It's not when you're in the moment. It's not when you're playing party rock anthem or something like that and you've got the sticks in your hand, or if you're doing single ladies and the ring is lit up. It's not. And the people that will surprise you because it's your guests are ripping them right off our fingers. We can't hand them out fast enough. They love that. So I think adding that fun and lighting, making sure that you light the room. If the room is giving it a blue sheen or a gold color, that also enhances it because now you're not in a drab, boring ballroom. It enhances the entertainment. And a lot of times the music and the lights, the decor light will kind of sync. It's like intelligent lighting. So not only are you getting old, I call it the high school prom kind of look with the spinning multicolors, but you're also doing things with the wall, the decor in the room. So that's kind of exciting.
That's definitely one of the best things that's happened in the DJ industry is all of the
Oh,
mood, what I call mood lighting, because it's so
yep.
important.
Oh, absolutely. And it changes just with a flicker of a remote control, which is really good. And it's a great investment. Your photos look amazing. It looks like a party.
So what advice would you give to couples when selecting a DJ to their wedding?
Never, ever, ever just send an email. Don't send an email. Don't go, hey, I'm getting married on May 15th and I'm looking for a DJ. How much do you charge? That is so bad. That is so bad. I think a lot of DJs now have chat bots on their websites where you can just make an appointment, do a Zoom call with them, find out a little bit about what they offer. I know some DJs put pricing on their websites. I think putting pricing on your website is just a way of just like, you just don't know. You don't know what you're getting for the money. You see a number and it might be too low, or you see a number and it's too high, and it needs a conversation, just like a job interview, right? When you go on a job interview in the real world after you go to college, or even when you were in your first job, you went for a job interview. The job interview wasn't an email. Hi, I want to work here, and this is why. And then you just, okay, you're hired. You need to interview. You need to interview the person. You need to be, because this is the person that's going to be driving the bus the day of your wedding. And to just send out an email, how much, is just rude. It's just not the right way to go about it. It drives me crazy.
So let me ask you, because you have six DJs, if XYZ DJ, do you have them talk to the couple during the planning to say
It
this is going to be yours, or how does that go?
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely varies, meaning that, I mean, yeah, we have really good bios on our website. So somebody, if they're Spanish, let's say bilingual, if they're looking for a bilingual, we got an awesome, amazing bilingual DJ. They can request him. We also have a premium event DJ, Kevin. We have two Kevins. So Kevin Lum, premium DJ, and it says right on our website, premium DJ, and it goes into reasons why he's a premium DJ. If they want to have a meeting with that DJ, absolutely, we'll do a Zoom. We can get them, we'll coordinate a time where they can get and talk to each other on a Zoom call. So, or if they just don't want to do that, and that's fine. Once I have the design session, and once even in the sales process, when I find out a little bit about them, I'll know who's good for them. Like last night, being it was a Monday, we do weddings because we're Vegas all the time. My couple was a little bit more mature. I knew that going in. So who on the team would probably make the best DJ? Me. I'm right around their age, their friend's age, and it was a banger. We had a great time. It wouldn't be good for the Spanish DJ to do that party. Could he pull it off? Of course. But you got to be able to relate to the couple.
And for me, I wouldn't be relating to a couple that's 21 years old.
Right, exactly.
So
Yeah.
you'd have somebody in your team to do that. Mhm.
Right. And let's say, for example, Matt, you know what, Matt? I think this 21-year-old guy might work for you. Let's have you talk to him and you decide whether or not. But yes, You should be able to look at the website and see. And I just wrote a blog about it actually. I actually wrote a blog about it, like about demos. And don't be fooled by a demo, right? Because on a demo we show our best stuff. We're always showing the packed dance floor and the DJ bopping in the background. I have it. I just did it. It gives you a good idea, but again, getting back to what I was just talking about, it's all about the interview. It's all about the job interview. You just want to talk to them. You want to see if they mesh with you. That's what it's all about.
Yep. You have to have that vibe together
Yeah.
too. Yep.
Yeah. And some people care about it and others don't. Others are like, no, just send me, this is what we like, this is what we don't like. And that's cool too. But we always have our DJs, and this goes for anybody. Your DJ, whoever's DJing your wedding, when I talked about the design session, the final meeting before the wedding, they have to talk.
Yeah.
Because once you submit your paperwork to your DJ and you type it all up and you give it to the couple and you're like, okay, Matt, does it look good? Yeah, okay. I'm going to have DJ Kevin call you in a week, the week before your wedding, and just kind of go over this with DJ Kevin, even though it's already done. And that way you've got familiarity with each other. You've talked to each other on the phone. You're not strangers on the wedding day. He knows this, you know that. It's that to me is, there's no way around that. That is super important.
Totally agree. So what's one thing every couple should discuss with their DJ before the wedding?
Huh. I would have to say, obviously, the flow of the wedding. One thing, the flow of what their vision is. Like when I tell you, if you're my client, Matt, and I say, okay, Matt, you're getting married on May 15th, you're having it at Caesar's Palace. I want you to close your eyes and I want you to think about May 15th at Caesar's Palace and tell me what that looks like. Close your eyes and what do you see? And then they describe it. And that's how we kind of also make that connection. I see people dancing a lot. I see drinks. I see, this. I see my Aunt Mary Ann and Uncle John dancing to old time rock and roll by Bob Seger, whatever it is. But yeah, that to me, that is super important.
I see everybody by the bar drinking and nobody dancing.
Oh, we'll change that, Matt.
Right. Especially
Why
after
do
a
you
few
think?
drinks.
About an hour later, it's going to change. They're going to go from the bar to the floor.
Right. That's awesome. So we're just talking about transforming the weddings and having a great DJ. Is there something that we missed today that you wanted to share?
I know everybody's on a budget, and I think what a lot of people also think is that we're going to hire a DJ. Let's say we have the ballroom from 6 to midnight, or our receptions from 6 to midnight. And really, the party isn't going to get started till 8 o'clock. Like 8 to midnight, it's going to be great. But for those first 2 hours, we don't need a DJ. We don't need to pay a DJ. And that drives me crazy. We see a lot of that too. Like, we don't need somebody for cocktail hour because the place will just play in-house music. While we're eating dinner, we don't need that because they'll just be in-house music. And that's so wrong. It's wrong on so many levels because it's like walking into a movie in the middle. You buy a ticket to a movie, and instead of getting to the movie theater early, you're getting there in the middle. It looks bad. One. Two, your DJ has to set up early for the event. So now you're paying them either an early setup fee, A, or B, let's say you're not, you're just like, yeah, you can come in an hour before. Everybody's eating dinner. They're looking at the DJ like, dude, you're late. It's 7 o'clock and we've been here since 6 and you're just getting here. That's bad too. It just looks bad. And even though you, the bride and groom, or the brides and the grooms, know that you requested this, your guests don't know. So right away, the DJ looks like we're coming in bad. People's perception of us are bad. You cannot do that. You literally, people need to start the DJ when everybody gets in because we're also setting the vibe, the tone, and you need somebody there. Didn't I say we're the MC? We're like the Seacrest. We're the Tom Bergeron. We're the Carson Daly of the event. We need to guide people. We need to greet them when they walk in because they don't know. It's like cattle or herding sheep. Where's the bar? Is that for us? Is it open? Is it closed? Why is there a sign there? Oh, those hors d'oeuvres, are we allowed to eat those? You need to be the host. You need to be the perfect host.
One other thing I'll say on that too is you can get this playlist, have it all planned out, and then, like we were saying, get there And the cocktail hour really will tell you what people are into. They're going to bob their heads, they're going to tap their toes. If you give them a list of yacht rock and nobody's doing anything, then you kind of get the vibe that this is not what I should be playing when people are dancing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You're always, again, reading the room. You have your eyes open. You're always just looking around. And you're also finding out who the big dynamic personalities are. And that's something too, that if you do have a dynamic personality coming to your wedding reception, let's say Uncle John, and he likes to steal the show and the spotlight, you need to let your DJ know that we have a crazy Uncle John. He's nuts. He loves Michael Jackson songs, but we don't want to hear any of those Michael Jackson songs at our wedding. So if he requests a song, just tell him there's no Michael Jackson. And that's a situation that happened to us. We had an uncle who had to hear like Michael Jackson. The couple didn't want it. She goes, whatever you do, he'll bribe you. He'll give you money. He'll try to make you play it. Don't do it. And you got to honor that. You got to honor it. The uncle like threw $300, three $100 bills on the DJ booth and says, I'll get that Michael Jackson. I'm like, no, you won't. And we gave him his money back. And he kept insisting. And I'm like, I just gave the 300 to the bride and groom. I'm like, here, talk to Uncle John. This could be a gift.
And on the flip side too, if they do know and the couple love Michael Jackson, then you know to incorporate that, and that's going to be your party starter.
Absolutely. Yep. And also family dynamics. If the parents of the bride and groom are divorced and they don't get along, you need to know that too. Because when you see some hostility and you don't know the backstory, you're like, why are those two? Yeah, you just need to know.
Well, great stuff today, Jodi. I appreciate it. Where can listeners connect with you and find you?
They could find me on Sight and Sound. So it's SIGHT, N like Nancy, SOUND.com. I'm also at jodiharris.info, INFO. So, but yeah, just Google my name. It'll come up. Sight and Sound, Las Vegas, everything. I'm happy to talk to anybody. If you guys have any questions, want some advice, you can find me that way.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Jodi. Thanks for everybody for listening. Stay tuned for 2 weeks for another episode, and I'm going to be interviewing another great wedding professional. Thanks for listening and have a great day.
Thank you for listening to the Wedding Songs Podcast. Never miss a future episode. Subscribe today to our podcast. Follow us on Facebook at My Wedding Songs and send us a message about playlists you would like covered.